Hey everybody, Sujan Patel here. I've got Mac Lackey from Exit DNA. I'm super pumped. Selfishly, I want to hear his answers. So today we're going to talk about, I've got him for a few sessions. First video, we're going to talk about how to plan for an exit. Mac, welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So for those people who don't know you, maybe can you start with just a quick background on yourself?
Sure. So I've basically been a career entrepreneur. I started my first company in the first quarter of 1995, which dates me a little bit, but it basically was an internet company that launched just after Netscape launched its browser. So I have been pretty early in the internet space. And over the past now 25 years, I have started, scaled, and exited 6 of my own companies. And then I have been a kind of a mentor, advisor, investor in a lot of others. So it's been a really interesting journey as an entrepreneur, a lot of mistakes, but a few successes along the way.
Awesome. And Mac, we met at Baby Bathwater in Croatia, and literally between watching your talk and grabbing a beer or two after maybe or 5 in my
Right.
case
Yeah.
over that trip, I think I learned more about selling than I've ever known before, and that's saying a lot because my business is buying and selling businesses.
Right.
So it took me a long time to kind of get this information. So let's just jump into it. I guess what's the first process? Like, what's the process of like preparing your company to be sold?
So I have a couple things that I've learned through this process. And one of the biggest, in my opinion, is that I just fundamentally believe that companies are not bought, companies are sold. And what that means is, as entrepreneurs, a lot of us think that we're building something valuable. One day someone's going to come in, knock on our door and say, "Hey, I want to, buy your company and pay you a premium for it." That is such a small percentage of what happens. That almost never happens. Of my 6 companies, it did happen once. So I believe as a founder, we have to proactively design our companies so that they can be sold. So
Hmm.
first and foremost, it is a proactive process. It's not something that we just wake up one day and happens. The other thing that kind of goes along with that is I believe there are a lot of simple things that you can do early in a process. If you decide you want to sell your company in a year or 2, if you start adjusting and making the changes now, you get the compounding effect. So all these little things that you do compound over 2 to 3 years and create value. In a lot of cases, I believe when I'm working with founders and entrepreneurs, I can, give 10 to 100x kind of returns simply because I can help them identify little things that, as long as they have enough time, compound into value. So I'd say probably the single largest thing that I start with is be proactive. Design a business so that it can be sold. You don't have to sell it. That's not a requirement, certainly. But the more proactive you are, the more you design it, the more value you can create and the easier it is to sell.
Love it, love it. And you mentioned some times here. Did you say 12 months? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I often tell entrepreneurs that a perfect scenario is having a 24-month horizon, that during the 12 to 24-month period is when you hope to transact. And so if you want to sell your company in less than a year, you can do it. It's just likely that you're not going to get maximum value because you have not designed it for optimal exit. So 12 to 24 months is where I typically say, is ideal for an entrepreneur.
Love it, love it. And going through that exercise, so our companies are built to be sold, they're operated to be sold. Um, and what I mean by that is, it's not like, hey, like we're going to buy it and sell it immediately. It's that if since our goal is to sell, we operate a clean P&L, no like writing off our car payments and writing off that dinner. Sure, that happens when it makes sense, but we need to have a clean P&L. You know, we make sure every dollar we spend or every resource or employee we hire is focused on the maximizing our exit value.
Yes.
And simply just like thinking about operating that way, or even going through this exercise of like, how do I maximize my value? Um, you end up focusing on the right things. We didn't just start this way. We adapted this this philosophy over time, and it was like a light switch flipped on. It's like I'm doing all these things in marketing and the product, and I'm like, is this adding exit value? Is this adding value? Is this? And a lot of times it's like, nope, nope, nope. Hell yeah, right? And
Yes.
all of a sudden, I knew exactly what to do.
Right. Yeah, really good point. As a matter of fact, you're a perfect salesman. That is what I am often telling people. As a matter of fact, the name of my organization, Exit DNA, the way I came up with it is I was looking back over these 25 years and I was looking for threads of what worked and what didn't. And one of the really surprising things to me was when I had a company that I either designed so that it could be sold, similar to yours, or when I made the decision that we're going to create that option for my company, our decision-making changed. I started looking at the company through almost a third-party lens, and it was, how would a buyer view this decision? How would a buyer, a prospective buyer of my company, think about this new hire, this new campaign, this new office, this write-off, whatever the case may be? So the name Exit DNA is basically taking that concept of using a third-party lens to look at your business, a prospective buyer lens, and weaving it into literally the business DNA so that every decision you make, every hire, every spend, every expense, campaign, all is at least viewed from an Exit DNA lens. And if you do that, to your point, you just make better decisions. It doesn't mean you're lining it up so you have to sell it. It just means you're going to have a company that is operating well and someone's going to want to buy it. You get to choose if you want to sell it or not.
Yeah, I think it's the way you're thinking, the way you've described it is, sure, you can go prepare your company to be sold, go to a broker like FE International, Quiet Light Brokerage, or many other, or if you're a larger kind of 10 million plus, maybe go to a banker, right, to help you sell it. But if somebody comes to you, your value is just so much higher, right? It's likely going to be more of a strategic initiative than just a financial one, right?
Yeah, one of the exercises I often take people through early in the process is an analysis to look at their company through a pure financial lens. And so if you took some really common multiples of EBITDA and revenue, and you sort of looked at those, the question is, would you sell your company for plus or minus 10% of that number? Most entrepreneurs immediately say, oh my gosh, I would never sell it for 5 times EBITDA. That's not a big enough number. And what that means is that you have to increase the value or the perceived value of your company through non-financial things. And, fortunately, when I look back over my companies, although I did make mistakes, I did leave millions on the table, I learned how to fix a few things. I never once sold a company based on a financial multiple. It was always based on strategic value, and that's where the premiums are. And I think if you go to, and I'm not anti-investment bankers or M&A advisors by any means, but I do believe that if you focus in on financial metrics and multiples and things like that, you're leaving a lot of value on the table. And so as a founder, it's one of the things that we can do is really turn up the volume on that strategic value.
Love it. Yeah. So really that strategic value is the difference between a 4 or 5x, like a financial multiple, right? Because somebody's thinking, how am I going to make money or get value from this financially, to a sky is the limit multiple, right?
Yes.
Off of something, right? Users, key product, right? Can I take the technology you've built and apply it to my business? Can I take the users and cross sell them? That kind of goes into maybe more financial. But yeah, there's so many things. Is the team amazing? Can they just take what we have here and just go? That might be a more of an acqui-hire, but yeah, millions, right? Millions.
Millions. Yeah. As a matter of fact, even in my own set of experience, I mean, one of my companies that I sold for 8 figures had not even turned a profit yet. We were just getting to the point where we thought we could break even financially. So if you applied a financial metric to that business, it might have been a 0, and I got, 15 million bucks for it. So I think a lot of that is strategic value. And the other thing, which I think can be really powerful, is helping the prospective buyer see your company as part of theirs, because now you're not really selling your business, you're selling your business within their framework. So if they have a massive sales force that could multiply what you're doing as a software company or multiply your brand, you're really starting to get them to see what's possible. And when you sell what's possible, sky's the limit, to your point.
Yeah. I love it. And that technique is like an old school Dale Carnegie sales technique. Where
Yeah.
in the middle of a conversation, when you're selling somebody this, like we do this at our agency all the time, or I've learned this through my agency. When we're selling consulting services, somewhere in the middle of the conversation, when I see their kind of like eyes, like something clicks, I go from like, we could do this for you, to like, look what we can all accomplish together. And I start saying we and us. And when I say us in the beginning, I'm talking about our company. And at the end, I'm talking about the collaborative effort, right?
100%. Yes, that is such a powerful technique. And another reason that I feel really strongly about working with founders directly is no one can tell the story of your company or what's possible better than a founder. And so you insert a third party, anybody, attorney, investment banker, advisor, CPA, they all have a very, very specific set of skills and are valuable, but they're not going to be able to illustrate that what's possible and we together kind of story like a founder. And so I think that's such a powerful technique. And again, you can add a zero to your company in some cases. I mean, it's just miraculous, because the buyers, even very sophisticated financial buyers, at the end of the day, they're humans, right? So emotions matter, and psychology matters, and vision matters. So the more that you can help them see that, in addition to financial metrics, you're just stacking the deck in your favor. And the more of those value drivers we can stack, the more value we can create.
Love it. Love it. So 12 to 24 months is the time frame really you should to get maximum value. We're going to talk about this in another video about finding and identifying strategic buyers. But I would love for you to share that story around how you sold to NBC, because I think that is a really key thing. I think you're going to touch on some points that people are not going to be abundantly aware of. Yeah.
So yeah, one of my last exits, we had a software business. It was a technology company that was focused on youth sports, specifically in the category of soccer, which was something I'm passionate about. And as we were building that company, we started thinking about all of the different people who could benefit from the technology that we were building. And when we decided to sell the company, we of course were using all the things that I've learned over the years about how to create interest from buyers. And one of the things I did is I created a list of prospective buyers, probably 90% of which I didn't know at all. And I started proactively picking up the phone and calling the CEOs, because what I wanted to do is I effectively wanted to be on their radar at a time when I wasn't actually in the market selling, but I wanted them to know who I was, what our company was, what our goals were, so that the next time I spoke to them, whether it was proactively or ran into them at a trade show or they called me, I could give them the update. And that progression that I had made would be an eye opener. They'd be like, wow, last time we spoke, you were here, now you're here. So, I ended up meeting a gentleman that was running a division of NBC Sports. He and I, clicked as just people. I liked him. I thought he was really impressive. We started this dialogue about our company and how it would fit into the fabric of NBC Sports. Similar to our recent discussion here is he started seeing what's possible. And once that became we would like to talk about joint ventures or buying your company, I kind of hit pause, went out and created a market, right? I found other prospective buyers so that we ultimately could create a bidding war on our company, and ultimately did sell the company to NBC Sports. But the big lessons there, one, you proactively reach out to these buyers. That falls under that category of, great companies are sold, they're not bought. I mean, I sold it. My team and I went into the market and made it happen. So one is being proactive. The other is the story that we told. If you looked at the 2 or 3 companies that were ultimately in the bidding process, I had the same company, 100% same, assets, same value, same things we were doing. the story I told to the prospective buyers was very different. One was an app company that had millions of users, but didn't have a certain set of technology that we as an organization had. So my story was, if you buy our company, we give you that technology that you're missing. It was a sort of you need the technology. With NBC Sports, there were two things. One was they were very, very successful in youth sports, in hockey and baseball and basketball, and soccer was, despite being the largest sport in the world, not their strong suit. We believe that we filled that with a really strong offering. And in addition, we had 6,000 of the 9,000 youth clubs in the country on our platform, but I had one salesperson. They had 80. So I was able to tell the story of, imagine if you owned our company and I had our technology and your sales force just picked up the phone and started calling, what would happen? So that ultimately led to, both companies being interested, both bidding, both going to the end. And we finally, sold it to NBC Sports. But that process, I think, is a good example of not 1 ounce of that was a discussion of our financial metrics or our revenue or our EBITDA or any of that stuff. It was a story of what's possible and different stories to different prospective buyers.
Love it. Love it. And I think the real key lessons here are, don't be afraid to share your information, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to share this with competitors. I don't want to share this information they're going to use it to their advantage. Look, the hard part is to get 6,000 of the 9,000 market, right?
Right.
Not what you built, right? That's something people can see regardless.
Exactly.
Get that bidding war, change the story based off the value that and the buyer has in mind, right? That guy has that company has 80 salespeople and is missing this audience. That's leads, right? That's revenue potential, right? No way to see until they actually buy the company, right?
Exactly.
And then the fact that you built that relationship with the buyer, NBC, so early before you were ready to sell. So people that are watching, listening, go find out, think about who's your buyer. And we're gonna go into the next video in a second, but think about who your buyer is and go out there. And also, you guys got to sign up for Mac's course, exitdna.com. I had a chance to check out the curriculum. Amazing stuff. 12 to 24 months. I think the fee you'll pay is peanuts to the value you'll get in exit. Or in my case, it's just operational efficiency on like the right things to focus on. So thanks, Mac. This was helpful.
Thanks. Yeah. Great to do it.